What's up, guys? Standard Lifestyle. We're going to talk all about onboard air, water, and fuel storage. There's a lot of options out there, so in this video I want to try and cover as many as possible to try and help you decide what you need for your rig. Let's start this video off with onboard air. There's 4 really good solutions to have air on the trail. The first one, and probably the most popular one, is going to be a hard mount 12 volt kit. These can supply you with a constant supply of air, and when paired with a tank, you can even run power tools. Kits from ARB, Vixen Air, and Viair are all really good solutions, but you're going to have to do a little bit of installation in order to hard mount them into your vehicle. In my opinion, the second most common option is probably a portable 12 volt pump. I see these used on the trail all the time, and they're very popular for a reason. They're portable, so you can move them from vehicle to vehicle very easily, but unfortunately with a pump like this, you're probably not going to be able to use it with air tools. At least I haven't seen one used with air tools before. The third most common method is going to be a CO2 tank. CO2 requires no power, no permanent installation, and easily powers pneumatic tools. This is the fastest option when it comes to filling big tires, and it supplies oil-free and completely dry air. However, the biggest con to this solution is the fact that when it runs out, you're going to have to go get it refilled. So if you run out on the trail, you don't have air anymore. The fourth method is the hardest to install, but I think probably the best compromise between every system available, and that is a belt-driven air compressor system. This system uses the power from your engine through a belt in order to compress air and give you a constant supply and a very high volume of air on demand. These kits are pretty pricey and they don't have them available for every vehicle, but if you're handy and you're a decent fabricator, you can definitely build your own brackets and adapt a system like this to whatever vehicle you have. My Land Rover Discovery is going to get CO2 tank. So this is a very quick, very portable option for onboard air. In the future, this is going to get a 12 volt backup system that I'll install into the Land Rover, but today it's just going to get a CO2 tank. As you can see, I'm a fan of CO2 tanks. I've got 3 different versions here, and I actually do have another video that I did where I compared the different brands of CO2 tanks, and you can get to see like what the big differences are as you move up the line. This is the first tank I bought. This is a Smitty built tank. This is the power tank, and this is the one that I keep in my TJ. I'm a big fan of power tank. And then the one that we're going to install in the Land Rover is a 100% Amazon build. So all the parts and pieces, from the handle to the mount to the regulator, the bottle, everything came off of Amazon. I will put a whole build sheet, I guess. All the different parts and pieces will be linked in an Amazon cart if you guys want to see a cheap way to build one of these. And I'm going to test out the cheap version, just see how it does. This is going to get mounted on my Discovery, and this is going to just give me a lot of opportunity to try the cheap stuff, see how it works. There's a few different ways you can go with regulators. There is the 2-gauge regulator, which basically just shows you what the pressure in the tank is, and then this one will show you what the pressure is coming out of the regulator. And then there's a single gauge version, which is what you see here on the Smitty built. And I'll link all the different versions of regulators. I want to test out these different regulators too. This is just a Amazon single gauge version, and this is a 0 gauge version. This is just a 150 PSI regulator, not adjustable, but if you want to go really inexpensive, this is a great way to go to keep things super cheap. In terms of where to mount your tank, you know, there's a lot of places inside that you can mount a tank, and I've got a lot of real estate in here, but I'm going to keep it outside. This Rover gets parked inside unless I am going out wheeling. Ugh, that door is heavy. So I am going to mount the tank in here today, in this video actually, but I need to mount my fuel storage solution first, and you guys will see that here in a little bit. Fuel is a precious commodity to everybody, but even more so with off-roaders. We like to get away from civilization and go way out in the middle of nowhere, so this poses a problem. If we run out of fuel out there, this can become life-threatening and be more than just an inconvenience. There's a couple different ways that we can solve this problem. One big one that people go to is getting an extended range fuel tank. This is a great option. It makes it where you have one tank that you fill up. In a lot of cases, you can go 1,000 miles depending on how big the tank is, and that is really important because then you have enough fuel to where you can get out and you can have fun for the weekend or for a week, and then you can get back home safely. A couple of cons to having a big fuel tank is that they're really expensive, and not everyone is comfortable with unbolting the old fuel tank and bolting in the new one. And so you're gonna have to pay someone to install it, which adds even more cost on top of that. The other way to solve this problem would be to mount fuel on the outside of the vehicle. Jerry cans, Rotopacks, Titan fuel tanks. There's a lot of solutions out there. In this instance, I am going to mount all of my fuel on the outside of the vehicle because I want to get an extended range right away, and I don't want to have to wait until I have enough time to build a tank for this. Long term, this is going to have a really long range because it's probably going to get a diesel engine, and I'm going to put a bigger fuel tank in it. But for now, I just need to mount something somewhere that I can store some extra fuel, so if I'm going on a really long trip, I know that I have enough fuel that I can get back home. A few years ago, I bought this tank from Titan Fuel Tanks, and it just mounts behind the spare tire. I bought it for my Jeep Wrangler. I never ended up using it, so I decided to use it for this Overlander. It seems like the perfect situation in which I could use it. It's 14.5 gallons, so if my V8 powered Disco gets some really awful off-road mileage and it's getting 10 miles per gallon, I just increased my range by about 140 miles with some very simple basic hand tools, and this is an installation that definitely anybody can do that knows how to use a lug wrench. Now that the fuel tank's mounted, I'm ready to mount this CO2 tank. I want to mount it on this tire carrier because the way this tire carrier is designed is to have lots of stuff mounted behind it. I think I'm going to try and fish this bad boy in right behind this fuel tank. You can see why I wanted to mount the tank first, because I didn't want it to get in the way of where I mount my CO2 tank. Now we've got Onboard Air. Now you can get a little tire filler, those little 12-volt tire fillers. They make some really quick ones, not as fast as CO2, but they make some that are relatively quick, but those don't power air tools. It is really nice to be able to quickly change a tire if you need to, or if you're about to put away your rooftop tent, it's really nice to be able to blow the inside out. So if you blow the inside out, get all that dirt and everything out of there, you can also go around the outside and blow any dew or anything off with your air nozzle. And it's just another great reason to have onboard air. Now in about 20 minutes, maybe a little less than 20 minutes, we already took care of 2 big off-road problems. Let's see if we can take care of one more. The most important resource that all of us carry with us is water. You need about 1 gallon per person per day, and if you're on a multiple day trek, let's say you're going out for 4 or 5 days, that ends up adding up to a ton of water if you got your whole family and your dog with you. And this is without even bathing or showering. So you can see where this causes a problem for a lot of people. We got to figure out where to put this stuff, and there's a bunch of different options out there. Long term, I will probably be building some sort of an onboard water system into my Land Rover with a really large tank that's really low in the vehicle, so I don't have all that weight up high. And that's gonna be a great option then, but I need something right now. So I'm gonna opt for something a little bit simpler. I'm gonna opt for something that's a lot faster, something that I recommend that a lot of people do because it's so easy. This is a water canteen that is used, clearly, from an Army Navy surplus. This isn't pretty. This isn't gonna get you in Overland magazine, but this is a great option for people that just want to get out on the trail soon. You want to have an easy place, a cheap place to store water. The mounting for these is super inexpensive. It's available everywhere. You can get them on Amazon. You can even get cans like this on Amazon. But if you're on your way home from work and you see an Army Navy surplus, swing in, see what kind of options they have, because this is a cheap way for me to be able to get on the trail while I'm devising a future plan of building a large storage tank to keep on my rig. The good thing for me is I don't have to store as much water as a lot of folks do because I live in Washington. It's falling from the sky constantly. So I bring a little water pump with me with a filter in it, and I can filter and replenish this as I go. So this is gonna work great for me. I suggest that you look around and think of some creative options for you. But for now, I just need to get this on the rig. I'm very fortunate that my Land Rover came with a jerry can mount, so this was a very easy storage solution for me, and it's virtually just like hitting the easy button. To be a good backpacker, camper, overlander, you need one key ingredient, and that is resourcefulness. And that is the whole concept behind today's video, is that you don't have to be rich in order to go be an overlander or to go outdoors and have fun with your family. You just need to be resourceful. You need to be creative. You need to think about, well, how can I solve this problem the cheap way or the easy way? Sometimes you're gonna pay for the luxuries like rooftop tents because they're really nice to have. But other times you might say, you know what? I wanna go out this weekend. I don't have the money for a rooftop tent yet, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna use the tents, I'm gonna use the gear that I have, use a tarp. Just get outside and have fun. And the whole point of this video is that this stuff wasn't free, but it was really cheap compared to how we could go about doing it. The total build cost of this Land Rover so far is way under 10 grand. You can build a really fun, capable, good-looking rig and go out and have a great time with it without spending a fortune. Everybody wants the new diesel Jeep Gladiator on 40s, so you can go out and have fun with all the bells and whistles, but not all of us have 100 grand to spend. And the whole concept of this video is to use your own resourcefulness, to use your own creativity, to think outside the box and go have fun with what you got. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Traditionally, I'm a rock crawler. I've got a whole bunch of rock crawling specific videos on here, but I'm getting more into the overland scene. You're going to see a ton of overlanding content in the future, in the very near future, in fact. And if you want to see that kind of thing, make sure you're subscribed. If you want to help support the channel, you can go to thedirtlifestyle.com. We have t-shirts, hats, some different gear. We also have a link to our Patreon account as well. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm @DirtLifestyleNate. We'll see you next time.